Tonight, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta Season 13 delivered the kind of drama that leaves social media buzzing, group chats exploding, and everyone asking the same question: what just happened between Yandi and Rasheeda? From the moment the cameras cut to their tense exchange, it was clear this wasn't just another scene. Whispers of betrayal, rumors of secret alliances, and long-buried resentment suddenly came crashing to the surface. Spice, caught in the middle, could barely hide her shock as the confrontation unfolded. For weeks, fans had speculated about the growing distance between Yandi and Rasheeda, but no one expected it to blow up this publicly. Yandi didn't hold back. She called out Rasheeda for shady behavior, hinted at behind-the-scenes allegiances, and questioned whether their so-called friendship was ever real. The tension was thick, the energy raw, and the fallout already unraveling as the scene played out. Viewers couldn't help but wonder, was this the breaking point? Was Rasheeda hiding more than she let on? Had Yandi finally reached her limit? And what role did Spice's presence play in the chaos? Buckle up, because this was a moment that could change everything. The lights of Atlanta glittered against the night sky, but inside the crowded venue, the energy was tense enough to cut with a knife. Spice had just wrapped her performance, and while the crowd was still buzzing, everyone backstage knew the real show hadn't even started. Yandi's eyes scanned the room, her expression tight, lips pressed together as if she were holding back an explosion. She had heard enough whispers, seen enough side eyes, and felt enough distance to know something was brewing. Tonight, she wasn't going to let it slide any longer. Rasheeda, on the other hand, seemed determined to avoid confrontation. She stayed close to Kirk, her smile fixed but fragile, her body angled toward the exit as if she could slip out unnoticed. But Spice had already told Yandi they were here, and once the word was out, there was no turning back. "I just don't understand," Yandi muttered under her breath, her voice rising as she turned to Spice. "You confide in someone, you share your struggles, and then you hear it on blogs, you hear it on podcasts. That's not friendship. That's betrayal." Spice gave her a knowing look, torn between both women. Maybe it's just a misunderstanding, she tried, but even her tone didn't sound convincing. The tension spiked when a few fans backstage started murmuring, pointing at the obvious tension. Phones were ready, cameras rolling, and everyone knew this could become one of those unforgettable love and hip-hop moments that would set timelines on fire. Yandi stepped forward, her voice slicing through the noise. "Rasheeda, since you got so much to say in confessionals and podcasts, say it now. Say it to my face." The room fell silent, that heavy kind of silence where every breath and shuffle sounds louder than a scream. Rasheeda froze for a moment, then turned around to face Yandi. Her smile dropped, replaced with a glare. "You really think I'm the one talking about you? Please, I got better things to do than sit around running my mouth about your husband and your business." Rasheeda snapped, her tone sharper than anyone expected. But Yandi wasn't letting up. "Better things to do? Girl, don't play with me. I sat down with you with my heart on my sleeve, telling you what I was going through, and then I hear it word for word repeated on a podcast. Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about." Fans watching from the sidelines couldn't believe how raw it was getting. Some whispered this had been building for months, while others pulled out their phones to capture every second. Spice shifted uncomfortably, glancing between them, wishing she could disappear. "I never once put your business out there," Rasheeda argued, her voice trembling between anger and disbelief. "And if something I said got twisted, that's not on me. People love to spin things." Yandi leaned in, her voice low but venomous. "Don't gaslight me. You knew what you were doing. You knew exactly who would hear it and how it would get back to me. You don't get to play innocent now." The air turned electric. It felt like a fight that could end friendships forever. Kirk tried to step in, raising his hands to calm things down, but his presence only made it worse. "Why are you even here, Kirk?" Yandi snapped. "You got your own mess to clean up. Maybe you should focus on that instead of hiding behind Rasheeda." Spice gasped softly, realizing Yandi wasn't just coming for Rasheeda anymore, she was coming for everything. Rasheeda's face flushed with anger, her voice breaking as she shouted back, "Don't you dare bring my marriage into this. You don't know what we go through. You don't know the half of it. You think your life is perfect. Please, everyone knows you're just as messy as the rest of us." The crowd around them erupted in gasps, murmurs, and even a few nervous laughs. Fans knew this was the kind of fight that could shatter alliances and shift the whole dynamic of the show. Yandi's voice cracked with emotion. "I thought we were friends. I thought we had each other's backs. But every time I turn around, there's another comment, another shady remark, another reason to question if you ever cared." Rasheeda's eyes softened for a moment, almost as if she wanted to explain. But then she hardened again, unwilling to show vulnerability. "You made your choice, Yandi. You put yourself in this position. Don't act like I'm the villain here." The words stung. Yandi's hands trembled as she tried to keep her composure. "Ladies, this is too much," Spice said, stepping between them. "Y'all don't need to be doing this right here, right now. Take a breath, cool down." But neither woman was backing down. "Nah, Spice," Yandi said firmly, eyes locked. "On Rasheeda, this has been building for too long. She owes me an explanation. And I'm not leaving without it." Rasheeda crossed her arms, her body defensive but her eyes blazing. "You want the truth? Fine. You were never my friend, you were convenient. Someone I could talk to when it suited me. But don't act like this bond we had was deeper than it really was." The words sliced through Yandi like a knife. The room went deadly quiet. Every eye glued to the two women. "So that's what it is," Yandi whispered, her voice trembling. "All this time I thought we were building something real. And you just what? Used me when it was easy, threw me away when it wasn't?" Rasheeda's silence spoke louder than words. Kirk shifted uncomfortably beside her, clearly wishing he could pull her out of the moment. But it was too late, the damage was done. Yandi turned to Spice, her eyes glistening. "You see what I mean? You see how quick she is to dismiss everything we went through?" Spice nodded slowly. Torn between them, "It's not right," she said softly. "It's just not right." The room buzzed with tension as the standoff continued. Fans kept recording, waiting for the next explosion. Everyone could feel that the night wasn't over, that more was still to come, more secrets, more revelations, and more hearts about to break. The crowd buzzed like wildfire, but Yandi stepped forward again, her voice trembling yet powerful. "You see, this is what I'm talking about. All these secrets, all these backdoor conversations. I thought you were real with me. But the whole time you were cozying up with the one person you knew would cut me the deepest." Rasheeda's eyes burned with fury. "You don't get it, Yandi. You never will. You think this is about you. But it's bigger than that. You don't understand the choices I've had to make just to keep my life together." The tension was unbearable. The room hung on edge as the two women stood locked in a silent war, neither willing to back down. The energy felt explosive, every glance threatening to ignite another eruption. And from the look in their eyes, it was clear this wasn't anywhere near over. The chaos that followed seemed endless. Everyone was still reeling from the confrontation, but the tension refused to die. Whispers floated like smoke, twisting into darker, heavier stories with every retelling. People didn't want to believe what they had just witnessed, but the expressions on everyone's faces told the truth. It had happened, and the walls themselves seemed to hold the weight of the drama. Phones buzzed, cameras flashed, and emotions boiled over into heated arguments that only fueled the storm. Rasheeda sat apart from the crowd, her eyes red and swollen from holding back tears. Pride kept them from falling, but inside she wanted to scream, to demand justice for what had just unfolded. Still, she knew every move would be captured, replayed, and dissected by the world. Every second of silence only made her anger burn hotter, like a fire waiting to consume everything. Mendici stood tall but restless, pacing with frustration written all over his face. He wanted to defend himself, to argue things had gone too far too fast, but deep down he knew the damage was already done. The room wasn't just full of people anymore, it was full of judgment. Eyes locked on him with disgust and disbelief. Outside the venue, word had already spread. Fans had caught shaky clips on their phones, and social media was exploding with hashtags. The narrative was forming fast, spiraling out of control, and neither Mendicis nor Rasheeda could stop it. Damn! How could he do that to her? One tweet read, another screamed, "Rasheeda deserves better." The tide of public opinion was crashing down hard and merciless. The online frenzy seeped back into the room as people scrolled through live reactions. It felt like the entire world was watching them unravel in real time. Yandi, caught in the middle, felt torn apart. She was used to drama, used to conflict. But this was different. This was brutal, raw, and personal. She tried to speak, tried to calm both sides, but her voice was drowned out by the chaos. She felt powerless as her husband's reputation crumbled in front of her, while her friend's heartbreak became gossip for millions. She wanted to protect them both, but no matter what she said, someone would accuse her of picking sides. The pressure pressed down on her chest until she struggled to breathe. Meanwhile, producers huddled in a corner, whispering with wide eyes and tense expressions. They had handled chaos before, it was part of the job, but this was different. This wasn't just good TV, this was dangerous. This was crossing a line no editing could fix. Calls were already being made to executives, lawyers, and publicists. The wheels of damage control were spinning, but everyone could feel it was already too late. The story was too explosive, too raw, too viral to contain. Back in the room, Rasheeda finally broke her silence. Her voice shook at first, but the words carried enough strength to silence the entire crowd. "You don't get to put your hands on me. Not here. Not ever." Her words cut through the air like a blade, leaving Mendicis frozen in place. The room went quiet. Everyone held their breath, waiting for his response. His jaw tightened, his fists clenched, but no words came. The silence pressed down heavier than any scream. Then came the moment no one expected. Rasheeda pulled out her phone and went live. Her hands trembled slightly, but her resolve was unshakable. Within seconds, thousands of fans joined the stream, watching in disbelief as she laid it all bare. "Y'all think you know what goes on behind the scenes? Let me show you the truth." Her eyes burned with pain and determination. The comments flooded instantly, demands for answers. Shock, anger, her voice cracked as she recounted what had just happened, but she refused to let the tears fall. The rawness made it even more powerful. Mendices could only watch as his name was dragged in real time. He wanted to snatch the phone from her hand, to stop the world from turning against him, but he knew it would only make things worse. Every word she spoke was another nail in his coffin. His face twisted with regret, frustration, and fury, but no matter what he felt, the damage was done. The livestream spread like wildfire. Within minutes, it was trending on every platform. Gossip blogs reposted it instantly. Headlines formed in real time. Mendices caught in shocking altercation with Rasheeda. Goes live after explosive confrontation. Love and hip-hop scandal shakes the internet. The frenzy was unstoppable. The more people watched, the more outraged they became as the night dragged on. The energy in the room grew heavier, colder. Friendships were tested, alliances shifted, and everyone knew things would never be the same. Some tried to comfort Rasheeda, while others urged Mendices to leave before things escalated further, but he refused, standing his ground as the cameras kept rolling, capturing every glance, every word, every spark that threatened to ignite another explosion. Behind the scenes, producers debated whether to shut it down or let it play out. The drama was gold for television but poison for reputations. They knew fans loved chaos, but sponsors and networks had limits. If they crossed that line, the entire show could crumble. Still, part of them couldn't resist. This was reality TV at its rawest and most unfiltered, the kind of scandal that drew millions of eyes. By dawn, the fallout had only grown louder. Fans screamed for answers outside the venue. Paparazzi swarmed the streets. Every news outlet wanted a piece of the story. The line between reality and spectacle blurred until no one could tell the difference anymore. For Rasheeda, the pain was real. For Mendices, the regret was real. But for the world watching, it was entertainment. A scandal served up on a silver platter. And yet, even in the middle of chaos, a deeper question haunted everyone's mind. Could either of them come back from this? Or was this the moment that would haunt them forever? The scandal that would define their legacy and tear apart everything they had built. The atmosphere around them reached a boiling point. Rumors spread like wildfire, from blogs to forums to social media threads, until it felt like the whole world was talking about it. And the more it spread, the less control anyone had. That was the scariest part. This wasn't just the truth anymore. It was twisted, exaggerated, and magnified into something darker. Every retelling made the drama bigger, heavier, more destructive. Inside the circle, frustration turned to fear. Fear turned to rage. And even the strongest personalities began to crack. Late-night phone calls, frantic texts, whispered meetings. None of it was enough. The chaos had grown larger than them, spinning beyond control. And just when it felt like things couldn't get any worse, the breaking point arrived. A confrontation that had been building for weeks finally exploded at the worst possible time. Right when the cameras were rolling, every word, every expression, every ounce of anger captured in full. What began as a small disagreement turned into something raw, ugly, unforgettable. Witnesses froze in shock, torn between stepping in or letting it burn. But it was too late. Once the words were spoken, once the rage was unleashed, there was no turning back. The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating, filled with the realization that nothing would ever be the same again. The fallout was immediate. Within hours, clips spread across social media, replayed endlessly by people who couldn't believe what they were seeing. Reactions poured in, fans horrified, others gleeful, a few claiming they saw it coming all along. The flood of opinions made the pain even worse as private heartbreak became public entertainment. Behind the scenes, emotions were shattered, relationships dangled by a thread. Apologies were hollow, promises to fix things sounded empty. The scars would last longer than the headlines as the dust settled. One truth cut deep: this wasn't just personal anymore. It threatened to destroy careers, reputations, and futures. Sponsors were already backing out. The chaos had become bigger than them all.